My name's Ifhat Shaheen, although on my passport it's Ifhat Shaheen Smith. But I'm trying to go back to using my maiden name to kind of recapture a bit of my old self. I suppose originally I'm from Pakistan and I came to the UK when I was about 2, and I've lived here all my life, so really this is home for me. I haven't. Do you want me to look directly at the camera, or should I look at Ellie?
Oh, you can look at the camera.
Whatever you want.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that
Okay.
felt really okay.
Okay, all right, sorry. So yeah, this is home. I've lived here all my life. My friends are here. My immediate family, like siblings, my father, all live in the UK. So I have no real connections anywhere else. My husband, he's a revert, and he's originally from, well, he was born in the UK, but his parents are originally from Jamaica. So it's kind of an odd or unique mix, whichever way you want to look at it. Do you want to say your names, guys?
My name is David. I'm Zubair Smith. I'm born in England.
My name is Suleiman Smith. I'm 9 years old and I was born in England.
I suppose really, prior to having the children, I'd done some film training. I did a degree in film and visual culture, but it was more theory rather than practical. And I'd worked in youth work, so I'd done kind of that. And then since having the children, I've just been at home being a mum. Was a governor at their primary school. Was also involved in our local Short Start, which was a government initiative. So lots of areas were given money to help mums with children under 5. So they'd organise activities, organise classes. So it meant that especially for first-time mums, that if you weren't isolated at home, you had somewhere to go and you had support. So I was an active member of my local Short Start. I was on the board of the local Short Start. I've volunteered with a local mosque, what was local to where we used to live. So even though I have the children, I've tried to do things that kind of kept me involved in the community and kept me mixing with adults. So I had some way of having adult conversation and not just being stuck at home with the children. So that was pretty much my life. And then my son has started secondary school. Since the 7/7 bombings here, the government started introducing counter-terrorism strategies, and part of that was Prevent. So it's been like nearly a decade of Prevent being involved, and all these counter-terrorism strategies being evolved in different ways. And then last year it became statutory duty for all public sectors in the UK to basically report anybody they felt was on the route to radicalisation. So this was, it could be your GP, it could be hospital staff, it can be schools, social workers, people that work in nurseries. So that means people that are working with 3-year-olds. They all have a statutory duty to look out for these signs of so-called radicalisation and report anything they deem suspicious. Of course, the government have said this is about extremism in all forms. But what's happened is that mostly Muslim children have been targeted. And my son, in his secondary school last May, he was in a French lesson where the teacher put up a board about deforestation. So there was trees being cut down, there were diggers, there were people trying to save the trees, there were chainsaws there. And he talked about eco-warriors and how some of these environmentalists are called or referred to as eco-warriors. And then he went on to say that sometimes they're referred to as eco-terrorists. This was on a Thursday. He came home, nothing was said. So he obviously didn't feel that he had done anything wrong, anything suspicious, nothing. On the following Monday, when he went back to his French lesson, an adult came into that lesson, somebody whom he didn't recognise and didn't know, hadn't seen in the school before. He heard his name being mentioned to the class teacher. She pointed to my son, and the adult then said, "Follow me." So he had to follow this adult. He didn't know why. He was taken to a building across the playground, which is known as the Inclusion Centre. But it's effectively for children that have misbehaved or being excluded from lessons or class for some reason or another. My son was already nervous because he is a well-behaved child at school. So he wasn't sure why he'd be in trouble, why he's being taken there. And when he got there, he was taken to a small room where there was another adult. One sat behind him, one sat in front of him. And they said to him, "Well, you know why you've been brought here?" And he said, "No." And they said, "Well, you used the word terrorist." And he said, "No, I didn't." And then she said to him, "Well, in the French lesson." So he said, "Yeah, I used the term eco-terrorist," and he explained it. And then she said to him, "Oh, are you one of them tree huggers? You go around hugging trees." And then with that, she turned around and said to him, "Are you affiliated to ISIS?" Obviously, he was shocked and horrified and scared. He said no. He also said no, but he was really scared because he said he didn't know what to say. He was worried at that stage anything he said was going to be misconstrued, and the worry that he was going to be taken away and not see his family again. They then told him to wait outside, and he was left waiting there for about 10 minutes, and then he said the school bell rang, so he just got up and went to his lesson. No one rang me, no one rang his dad, no one from the school informed us. He came home that evening about 5:30 because he has after school club, and he did look scared. He still visibly looked shook up to me. And I thought maybe something had happened on the street, or, so I said to him, "Are you all right?" And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "We don't look in." And he said, "Oh, something happened at school. I've got something to tell you, but I'll tell you when his younger siblings, Lisa, had gone to bed." So I said to him, "No, if you've got something to tell me to do with school, tell me now." And then he said, "Oh, well, I was asked if I was affiliated to ISIS." So I immediately ran the school and I spoke to his head of year. And she said to me, "Oh, no, there's nothing to worry about. It was just a misunderstanding. Everything is fine. We just needed to talk to him, but he's sorted it out. He's clarified everything for us and it's all clear." At that point, I just went, "Oh my God, have you interviewed my son under Prevent?" And she said, "Yes." So that was kind of the end of the conversation with the teacher. But for me that evening, I felt really, really worried because I didn't know what was going to be done with that data, whether it goes to the police, who has access to it, will it affect his university application, will it affect his college application, is he going to be watched by police now, are we going to be watched, so there was all those questions, but then there was no one to answer them. And really out of frustration and desperation and feeling so powerless, but feeling really, really incensed by it all, on the advice of a friend, I put it out on Twitter that, oh my God, my 14-year-old son was interviewed under Prevent. And thank God I had so much support. People tweeted back and retweeted it, and lots of people were really, really supportive. And then from that, we had got in touch with Imran Khan's solicitors. He's known in London for the Stephen Lawrence inquiry and about the police institutionally racist, and he was kind enough to take it on and support us. And he kind of put his head above the parapet because at this point no one was really talking about what was happening in relation to Prevent in schools. So he kind of really put his head above the parapet and tried to support us, and we wrote to the school, we tried to get, but we didn't want, I know some people have criticised me for not having a battle with the school in terms of, well, I should have proceeded with the school under their safeguarding policy, they've done it wrong, and of course the school done lots of things wrong. But ultimately, I didn't want to battle with the school. My son was really happy there, and we didn't really feel that it was a teacher's fault. Obviously, as a mum, I'm really angry that she reported my son, but this Prevent is coming from the government, and so it's imposing something on teachers, is asking them to spy on children. So taking an individual teacher to task or taking an individual school to task doesn't really solve the problem en masse. So we tried to take take it further and try to get judicial review so we could have a hearing and hopefully get the policy repealed. Unfortunately, the judge decided that there was no grounds for a judicial review, and it was refused. And the judge also stated that because the majority of Muslim children are the ones being radicalised by ISIS, then therefore it makes sense to target Muslim children. So that's kind of where it's come to. But since it happened to my son, I've been talking more about it, trying to get more people to speak up. That's one of the difficulties, because I think people shut down because it is scary and it's your child and you're so vulnerable. And if the powers that be are not behaving in the correct way, in terms of accountability, transparency, where do you go? And so people do shut down, people are scared, and people just go quiet, don't speak about it. Thankfully, there have been more people coming up and speaking. And you're hearing lots and lots of ridiculous cases like 3-year-olds being reported and 4-year-olds being reported and Prevent. I think it's sort of 67% of children that have been reported under Prevent have been all Muslim children. So I do believe that the Prevent scheme or the Prevent policy is Islamophobic, it's racist, it's criminalising Muslim children. And I do see the fact that it is state-sanctioned abuse of children. Because if you think about take it out of school, take it away from Prevent. If you think about a child being interrogated by 2 adults that he doesn't know without any parent, that is abuse. That does not come under safeguarding. But yet Prevent has been marketed in such a way in schools under the guise of safeguarding, when actually it's not safeguarding children, it's criminalising children, and no one knows in 10 years' time what the impact on their mental health is going to be after being interrogated like this. And the way they've done it is that as soon as you question Prevent, it's like, oh, so you want children to go to ISIS, or you don't care about children's safeguarding, you know, we're doing this to safeguard children. And of course it's not about that. It's about making us live in a police state. Well, I feel it's about making us live in a police state. It's about making communities compliant. It's about dissent. It's about clamping down on all those, you know, our human rights, our civil liberties. So I've become more impassioned, I suppose, and in some ways, I suppose, radicalised since it's happened to my son, because I feel passionate about speaking up about it. So when this happened, one of the things he kept on repeating for the weeks and months afterwards was like, what was it about me that made her think I would support ISIS? What was it about me that made her think I would support something like that, when an organisation does all these horrific things?
When you talk with friends in your community, in the Muslim community, what kind of stories do you hear, or concerns or fears?
At the moment, the biggest fear amongst parents actually is about the children being taken away, and that's being used as a tool under Prevent. There was a recent story last week just in the BBC that came out where a child did a drawing of his dad cutting up a cucumber, and I don't know if you heard about it, but the teacher thought he said cooker bomb, and the child got reported, and they wanted to report him for de-radicalisation, and the mum sort of said, well, you know, her first thing was, well, you're going to take my children away from me. And they said, well, no, you've got a chance to prove yourself. Well, prove herself from what? She hasn't done anything wrong. But I would say that's the biggest fear at the moment, is children being taken away, and that's happening quite a lot.
My name is David Smith, and I am in year 2. I was worried when I heard that my brother was asked about if he was affiliated to ISIS, and I was thinking to myself, what's he going to be taking away?
And what did that make you feel when you heard that?
It made me feel sad.
You guys go to school where there's Muslims and non-Muslims?
Yeah.
How is that? Has that changed for you since what happened to your brother? You can talk to me or talk to each other.
Well, you can go first. No, it didn't really change, because when my brother was Christian, before that, our school still had non-Muslims and Muslims in it.
So it hasn't changed for you?
No.
No. What about you? Do you feel different since it happened to your brother, or since you know all this information? Kids are so smart, they know everything.
Well, kind of, because you don't know what's gonna happen to you, because many people have heard of stories, because we don't know if there's gonna be anything happen to our mum, because she wears a hijab, and if we walk outside we don't know what could happen. So yeah, so it is really scary, but to be honest, I don't think the school's really changed. It's still the same. But yeah, the school's hasn't really changed. No, but there's been our head teachers, some of them are really rude and bad. So then over time, our head teachers keep changing, and some of them are racist, some of them are Islamophobic, and stuff like this. So that's why we have to keep changing our head teachers, but none of them get any better. So other than that, that's the only difference in our schools.
Tell me an experience you've had where you can, these are big words for kids, you know, how can you know if a teacher is a racist or homophobic? Did you have an experience with that, or other kids?
Kind of, because they usually pick the white people first. They make the black people go last, or the Muslims go last. Like when we went to a trip to the bookshop, most of the white people and the non-Muslims went first, but then the rest of us had to wait. And then other than that, there's teachers that believe the white students, they don't believe the black students, and stuff like that. So yeah.
Do the kids get angry about that, or they just accept it?
Well, most of me and my friends, they just we like some of us, we go, these teachers are racist, like they're not nice people. Well, that's what we usually say because that's the truth, though, isn't it? So yeah, that's it basically.
Wow. And this has always been the situation for you since you started school, or is it different now?
Well, it's been in since year 3, I guess, year 3. Since I was in year 3, it's been going on and on. I'm not sure if it was when I was in year 2 because I didn't really understand much things then. But like when I was in year 3, lots of things really changed because there was more like white students coming in. There was different, more bad head teachers, deputies coming in, and stuff like that. So yeah.
Wow. Do you want to say anything else? Because it's really good what you're saying. It's important that people hear from children because children have the voice of truth. Sorry, that's the way I feel. What other activities, just general activities where you feel that in sports and the school it's all the same?
Well, there is problems in schools with racism and Islamophobia, but there isn't really a change. There hasn't been a change. It's either been getting worse or staying the same, because the government have now put in these policies where people have been targeted for their skin color, their religion, because they don't want anything to happen to their children. So that's how the government are trying to make all of us scared. But we need to stand up to that because that is not right. What the government are doing is wrong. So
move in a little bit. Let me ask you. It's really good. Let me ask you a question. You go to the mosque?
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah.
Sometimes. So you don't go to the mosque all the time.
Yeah.
Is it different for you if you feel like more like you're a Muslim than you're just a kid?
Well, as a Muslim, you have to show that you're a Muslim. You have to be strong. You don't be weak and fall down. You have to stay strong, because if you're not strong, people can just bully you. They'll be like, this person isn't strong. We can do whatever we like to them. So that's why we have to stay strong, because if we don't stay strong, the government can do whatever they like to us. Well, they already can. That's why we need to stand up. And against racism, Islamophobia, prevent, and all this stuff. So, because the government have put in these policies, lots of people are trying to stand up to it. But then again, they're just saying Muslims are affiliated to ISIS. But just because people have won, it doesn't mean that all of us are. They're just picking on us because of our religion, and that's not right. A few days ago, there was a man who was hard of hearing, and he couldn't speak properly, and there was horses that were walking around. Yeah, so he came onto the road and he hugged the horse. That's normal, and he stroked the horse. Then the police got off the horse, and then pinned him against the wall. And then he was hard of hearing, and he couldn't speak properly. So the police called backup, because they were like, so they kept searching him, and eventually they then found a wine bottle in his pocket. And they got back up, and more police pinned him against the wall, and it was just on the street near Tesco's, around that area, and near Haggerston Station, and they called a van, and police came out, and we don't know what they did to him, but we were just walking up the road coming back home, and then we saw the ambulance come past. So I wasn't sure if they've tasered him or something, But like you see, the police are racist because they just got the man. They didn't care if he was hard of hearing or he couldn't speak properly. They just pinned him against the wall because he was black. So the police are, they're not very good people. They're rude, they're rough, they're racist, and whenever there's probably Islamic woman involved, they would either probably say, "Go away, we don't want to hear what you're gonna be saying," even if the person's heard everything, saw everything, they would just say, "Go away." And the police, they only like their type of people, the white people, the people who are racist, the people who are Islamophobic. They don't like anybody else. They only like people who are white. That's how racist they are. They wouldn't even they wouldn't probably make a friend with a black person because they're black. So like that's how racist the police in our community is. Like they're not even helpful police. They're not gonna listen to what people have to say about the story or what the incident happened. It might even be a major incident leading to fire or something. They wouldn't listen to the black person or the Islam or the or Muslim or something like that. They're just really racist. So yeah, I don't think the police are really helpful in our community. So yeah, that's it.
But let me just ask you, does this happen to the girls also? The Muslim girls with the hijab in your school?
Well, they don't really do anything, but the police, they only listen if there was a white person telling the story and a black shout at them in their face because they're wearing a hijab or something like that. Although you're not meant to like hurt women or something, like I think people say that, but then they just, cause they think they're the police, they can do whatever they like. So they take it in their own hands. Although they're police, they're not meant to just go this and that. They don't really listen to what the police rules are. They just go in and attack. That's not what police are meant to do. They're meant to help the community and make sure it's safe. Just like with the ambulance and the fire brigade. But with the police, they're rough, they're rude. They're not nice people. They're not really part of our community if they just come here to hurt someone. So yeah, that's what happens with the police.